Hello, let's do Modular Symmetry, a Sudoku puzzle by me, Matthew. All right, this is the first Sudoku puzzle I've ever created. I've been messing around kind of with a Sudoku maker online the past few days. I did create this one a couple of days ago, so I'm gonna provide a link and a bit of a walkthrough. First, let's go over the rules. This is a 6x6 Sudoku puzzle. Most people are familiar with the 9x9 ones. This is a 6x6 where you have to place the numbers 1 through 6 in every row, column, and box. In addition, I have a couple other constraints in here. We have these teal lines, which are modular lines. Now, modular lines means that in every 3 cells along the line, you need to include digits from the 3 different groupings of remainders. That's a little confusing to hear. So if you divide every number in 1 through 6 by 3, you'll have 2 numbers that end in a remainder of 1, which are a 1 and a 4. You have 2 that end in a remainder of 2, which are 2 and a 5. And then you have the other 2 which end in a remainder of 0, which are 3 and 6. So every 3 cells along each of these lines needs to include at least one number from these 3 groups. In addition, we have these white and black dots. These are Kropki dots. The white dots means that the cells separated by the white dots have to be consecutive. So if this was a 3, this would have to be a 2 or a 4. Couldn't be a 5 because that's not consecutive. The black dots means the 2 cells have to have a 2-to-1 ratio. So if this was a 2, this could be a 1 or a 4. Those are both 2-to-1 ratios. Couldn't be a 6 because that's a 3-to-1 ratio. So if you're interested in playing, I'm going to provide a link in the description or comment section, depending on what platform this is on, and you can go and play it and then come back, or you can just watch. And I'm going to get started with the puzzle right now. All right, so the first step in this puzzle is to look at these black Kropki dots over here on the right side. Now, there are 3 ways to do a 1-to-2 ratio. You can either do 1-2, you can do 2-4, or you can do 3-6. You can't do a 5 anywhere because we can't have a 10 or a 2.5 in this puzzle. So while there are 3 different ways to make a 1-2 ratio, you'll notice that 2 of those ways uses of 2, and you can't have 2 2s in the same column here. So one of these is going to have to be the 3-6, and the other one is either going to be a 1-2 or a 2-4. So we know a 3-6 goes over here, and what that also tells us is that we can't have a 3-6 on this dot. So let's say this is a 3-6 right here. This can't also be a 3-6, because then you have 2 numbers in 3 cells. If this is a 6, these would both have to be 3, and that doesn't work. So the first thing to note is that this one over here has to have a 2 on it, so that makes this either a 1-2 or a 2-4. So the corner marks is indicating that there has to be a 2 in one of these 2 cells, and then the center marks are just indicating that those are the 3 options for those cells. Now the next dot to focus on is this dot right here, because it's on a modular line. Now, the modular line, every 3 cells on a modular line need to include at least one number from the 3 different groups. The 3 different groups are 1-4, 2-5, and 3-6. I don't know if this is where these numbers go. I'm just using an example here. These 3 cells have this arrangement here, where this is a 1 or a 4, this is a 2 or 5, this is a 3 or 6. Then the cell right here, these 3 have to have one number from each of those groups as well, which means this cell here would also have to be a 1 or a 4. And then you have to move one cell down the line, and this cell would have to be a 2 or a 5. So taking that logic down here to this Kropki dot, could this be a 3 or a 6? 3 or a 6 are in the same grouping in modular lines. So they can't be next to each other. Because if this is a 3 or 6, this would either have to be a 2 or a 5 or a 1 or a 4. So this can't be the 3-6 Kropki 1-2 ratio. This is going to have to be the 3-6 up here. And then this is going to have to be a 1-2 or 4. And this one can't be a 2 because we know there's going to be 2 over here in this box. So this is automatically going to have to be a 2, and it's either going to go with a 1 or a 4. So we have our first digit. So looking at the modular lines, it's a good thing to color these. We use 3 colors. We use green, purple, and blue. So the 2 and the 5 is going to be green. The 1-4 group is going to be purple. And then because you need to have 1 digit from each of the 3 groups along a line, this one's going to have to be the 3rd one, which is a 3 or a 6. Now this Kropki dot here is a consecutive white dot. So if this is a 3, this is going to have to be a 2 or a 5. Or if it's a 6, this would also have to be a 5. So we went green, purple, blue. This is going to be a green. So this works both for the Kropki dot consecutively, and it works for the pattern of repeating every group every 3 boxes. So we went green, purple, blue, green, and if the line went longer, then we'd go purple, then blue, and so on and so forth. So now we know we're using blue to represent the 3-6 pair. And even though this box isn't on a line, I'm still going to mark it blue. So what's this number going to be here? We don't know. It could be, since this line is separate from these lines, it might not follow the same pattern. Here we have green coming after blue, but this line doesn't have to follow that pattern. This could be a purple still. So this is purple or green. This is going to be purple or green, and then this is going to be blue. So this is going to be a 3 or 6. And then this is going to be purple or green. We don't know which one yet. So now, coming back to this box, you'll notice we don't have a 5 marked anywhere. And that's because a 5 can't go on a Kropki dot, the black Kropki dot. Because there's no 2.5 or a 10 in the puzzle. So a 5 has to go in this column here. So now this is kind of the tricky part. If you'll notice down here, you're wondering how do we figure out which group goes in which cell up here. And you kind of have to jump down to this line down here. You'll notice there's 3 cells along this line in this box. So we're going to have a purple, a blue, and a green cell somewhere in these 3. It can't be a 2 because we already have a 2 in this box. The other green cell, the other number in a green cell would be 5. So where does the 5 go? 5 in this box has to go here. So the 5 can't go anywhere in here, but we're going to need a green cell. So the 5 has to go here. So this is a 5 and it's green, which means we have 2 greens, 2 blues, and a purple in this column. And while all of these aren't on the same line, in every row, column, and box, you're still going to end up always with 2 greens, 2 blues, and 2 purples. So this one up here has to be a purple, and it's going to be a 1 or a 4. So that tells us the pattern up here for this line now. So we know this one is going to be green, and that's going to be a 2 or a 5, and then this one is going to be purple, which is going to be a 1 or a 4. So now look at this column. We have 2 greens, so we know we're not going to have any more greens down here. We also know that because of this 5 here. We know there's not going to be a green anywhere on this line anymore because there's going to have to be a blue and a purple over here and a blue and a purple over here. We know this can't be both blue or both purple because we're going to have one of each. We already have 2 greens, we have 1 blue, and we know there's going to be a blue in one of these 2. We don't know which one, but we know it's going to be there. So we're going to have 1 purple. Where does the other purple go? That means this cell has to be a purple, which is a 1 or a 4. Now this cell can't be purple. We need another purple cell down here, but we can't put a 1 and a 4 here because we have this white Kropki dot, which means these 2 cells have to be consecutive. And 1 and a 4 isn't consecutive with 1 and a 4. So, and it can't be a 2 or a 5 because we already have the green one right here. We need a blue and a purple over here. So this one has to be blue, and it's 3 or 6. So that makes this one the last purple in this column, which is the 1 or 4. Now, we know what these 2 numbers are. What 2 numbers are consecutive here? 1 isn't consecutive with 3 or 6. 6 isn't consecutive with 1 or 4. So this has to be a 4 and a 3, which makes this a 1. It also makes this a 1 down here. That makes this the 2, and this a 4 over here. This is a 6. Consecutively, we have this consecutive dot right here. That makes this a 5 because a 2 is not consecutive with 6. This 6 makes this a 3, which makes this a 6. This 1 down here made this a 4. This 5 here makes this a 2. We still don't know what numbers these ones are yet, but we do know this pattern down here. So we went blue, purple, green. Now we have to go blue and then purple. So this is a 3 or 6, and this is a 1 or a 4. In here we only have 2 digits left in this box, which are a 5 and a 6. So this is a 5 and this is a 6. And that 6 makes this a 3 down here. And then finally, I think we have to go back over to this Kropki dot over here. So we only need 2 digits left in this row, and it is a 1 and a 2. And then down here, we need a 3 and a 5 still. So what 2 numbers are consecutive here? 1's not consecutive with either of these, so this has to be a 2. And 5 is not consecutive with 2, so this has to be a 3, which makes this a 1 and a 5. That makes this a 4. Down here, we still need a 3, 6, or 2, so this is 2, 3, 6. 6 goes here, 2 goes here. The last 2 digits over here are a 5, which has to go up here because of this 5. So this is a 5 and a 4. last digit here is a 6. And then we need a 1 and a 4 still in here. This 4 makes this a 1 and this a 4. This 6 makes this a 3 up here. In here we still need a 1 and a 6. This is a 6, this is a 1. In here we still need a 1 and a 2. This is a 1, this is a 2. And then over here we need a 3 and a 5. This is a 3, this is a 5. All right, so yeah, that's my puzzle that I created. It took me a lot longer to solve it just because I was explaining so much. So that's my puzzle. I had fun making it. I had fun playing it. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you did do the puzzle, let me know how you did in the comments. Thanks.